Good evening. Good evening. President Fernández, Mr. Godso, Professor Randall, and distinguished guests all, thank you for coming this evening. Before I introduce President Fernández, I want to say a couple words about our two other winners. Professor Randall, congratulations. You have set a mark for academic achievement that all Canadian scholars should aspire to, and particularly Canadian scholars who are studying Latin America. But more importantly, as Professor Dosman pointed out in his speech, you are a wonderful example of the importance of everybody coming out of his or her own silo, from academia, from government, from private sector, from NGOs, to get together and share information and build a foundation of Canadian experience and knowledge in the hemisphere, which up until now has been lacking and which is something that Canada desperately needs. Thank you. Mr. Godso. One of the advantages of getting a little bit older, and I'm referring to myself, is long-term memory still stays a little bit sharp. And when we decided to make this award to you, I immediately went back, and I remembered very well an article that came out in the major financial magazine dealing with Latin America. And the article came out in 1998, March of 1998, and you will remember that it coincided with the annual meetings of the Inter-American Development Bank. And the magazine article basically said Scotiabank was naive, what were they doing in Latin America, and essentially things weren't going to work out so well. And I went back and looked at the article, and lo and behold, the last two sentences, quoting someone from Scotiabank, it was not you, and the person said, there are only two kinds of forecasters, those that don't know and those that know they don't know. We'll only know who did the right thing 5 years from now. Well, 5 years from then, when you finished your mandate at Scotiabank, we all know what the results were. Congratulations for sticking to the courage of your convictions. Someone once said that the fastest way for a politician to become a statesman is to lose an election. And U.S. President Harry Truman once remarked, a statesman is a politician who's been dead for 15 years. Fortunately, our honoree tonight is very much alive and has become a statesman at home and abroad without ever losing an election. In fact, he has won 3 presidential elections, serving from 1996 to 2000, and from 2004 until 1 month ago. The 6 decades preceding President Leonel Fernández's first term were acutely inauspicious for Dominican democracy. the death in 1961 of the dictator Rafael Trujillo, after 3 decades of darkness, was followed by 3 decades of military rule and strongman rule. The struggle by Dominicans to install and sustain democracy in the mid-1960s was aborted abruptly by the overthrow of the democratically elected government of President Juan Bosch, our honoree's political idol. This event opened a deep gash of cynicism for more than a generation in Dominican society. Dominicans doubted that they could and would be allowed to build and sustain democracy in their own country. Against this backdrop, President Fernández assumed his first presidential mandate. He steered the country through its transition into a modern era of liberal democracy. Due in significant parts to his efforts, no one questions the fundamental bona fides of democracy in the Dominican Republic. This accomplishment often gets overshadowed by the Dominican Republic's impressive economic performance under all 3 of President Fernández's administrations. It was, however, an important political achievement for his country, for the Caribbean basin, and for the hemisphere. When President Fernández was re-elected in 2004, the New York Times described his country's situation as follows, quote, "The Dominican Republic is coming uncomfortably close to a default on its foreign debt as the incoming administration of Leonel Fernández positions itself to grapple with a simmering economic crisis. Signs of increased hardship are evident throughout this capital city of 2 million people, with prices for basic foods nearly doubling in the last year. Shortage of gasoline and propane have idled many automobiles, and electricity blackouts last as long as 20 hours a day, blanketing much of Santo Domingo in darkness at nightfall." The beautiful island country that Dominican poet laureate Pedro Mir described as located on the same trajectory as the sun, with land under the horse's gallop, above the day, and in the middle of love, was feeling little love and a lot of pressure. President Fernández, as the Dominican expression goes, had to cruzar el Niagara en bicicleta. He had to bicycle across Niagara Falls. Mr. President, you pedaled quickly. The year before President Fernández reassumed the presidency in 2004, the Dominican Republic's economic growth rate was below 2%. From 2005 to 2007, the Dominican average growth jumped to 9.5% a year, when average growth in Latin America and the Caribbean during that same span was 5.4%. Over the following 4 years, the country's growth rate continued to far outpace the region, including its largest economic powers. The World Bank noted in one of its reports that improved macroeconomic management achieved positive results in terms of public debt, international reserve ratios, and inflation. These economic achievements benefited everybody. Sound macroeconomic management, aided by novel government subsidy programs for liquefied gas and electricity, and for increased access to health care, drove down poverty from 44% to 34.4%. The Gini coefficient, which measures inequality of income distribution, also dropped. Señor Presidente, Pa'lante que vamos. President Fernandez has emerged as one of the hemisphere's primary honest brokers in times of crisis. He played a vital role in calming tensions in the Andean region arising from the Colombian attack on FARC guerrillas in Ecuadorian territory in 2008, and in negotiating the eventual restoration of democratic order following the Honduran coup in 2009. These accomplishments are all the more remarkable considering President Fernandez gained the confidence of leaders of widely varying political tendencies, and he did so without the natural political leverage that the larger countries enjoy. President Fernandez intervened decisively in the days and months following the Haitian earthquake of 2010, when he mobilized his country to serve as the staging ground for international relief efforts. Now, this may strike some as a humane gesture, but not necessarily an unusual or courageous political act. But it was. The Economist magazine described it as, quote, a break in the history of mistrust between the Dominican Republic and Haiti, an unfortunate history in which ties to Haiti have not been viewed as political or social assets for a Dominican politician. And now, President Fernandez has brought his skills to the world stage in leading the United Nations to study and adopt measures to lessen the causes and effects of excessive speculation in basic commodities, and particularly food. As President Fernandez said recently at a United Nations conference, quote, "We are not talking about an abstract concept here. We are talking about something that is having a devastating, dramatic, and brutal impact on the lives of people, and also puts governments at risk of destabilization." Mr. President, Juan Pablo Duarte, your country's patriarch, said that after philosophy, politics is the purest and most dignified science to occupy a noble, intelligent mind. We will leave it to you, a professor, politician, and lover of philosophy, to decide which is more dignified. At the Canadian Council of the Americas, we recognize that politics practiced with dignity makes a statesman. We believe, President Fernandez, that you have undertaken politics in the spirit of statesmanship and would be honored if you would step forward to receive your award.
Well, thank you, Ken, for such a kind and warm introduction, and my congratulations for such a lucid interpretation of current Dominican history. Well, my greetings to Michael Harvey, President of the Canadian Council of the Americas, to my good friend, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, who has been all day here with me, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Diane Abonsi, to Peter Gotso and Professor Stephen Randall, fellow award recipients, to Ambassador Jose del Carmen Ureña from Dominican Republic, as well as our consuls here in Canada, Guillermo Estrella and Raquel Jacobo. Thank you for being with us here tonight. I also would like to acknowledge Jose Núñez, who is the first Dominican elected in the House of Parliament here in Canada. Where is Jose? Well, Jose, we're very proud of you. Estamos muy orgullosos de usted y espero que en la próxima ocasión le salude como el primer ministro del Canadá. I also would like to acknowledge Don Gustavo Cisneros, who is also here with us and has played a key role in connecting the Dominican Republic with Canada. Where is Gustavo Cisneros? Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done, Gustavo, for the Dominican Republic. Well, distinguished members of the board of the CCA, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished friends, it is truly an honor and a pleasure to be here at this beautiful and vibrant city of Toronto, a center for financial, educational, scientific, entertainment, and entrepreneurial activities. Coming from the Dominican Republic, identified by many as baseball land, I have to bear in mind that this town is also the home of the Toronto Blue Jays, the team for which, over the years, many Dominicans have played for. That includes, of course, current power hitters Jose Bautista and Edwin Encarnacion. But also previous stars such as George Bell, who I remember hit 47 home runs and was MVP on one occasion. Tony Fernandez, Alfredo Griffin, among others, whom I think might be familiar to all of you. Because of their success, we are thinking now in training some of our athletes in the practice of ice hockey, with the hope that one day one of our own will help the Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. As you can figure out, receiving the Statesman of the Year award is the equivalent in baseball of hitting a Grand Slam home run. That is how excited and thrilled I feel today. And while running the basics,